Even without doing the oncology test, they knew that it was stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And they said that he probably had 6 months. And so this was really everything was shut down. The pandemic had everyone was afraid. He got sent up to Mission. I saw him twice in the 10 days he was there. I finally got the floor nurse on the oncology ward at Mission up in Nashville. Basically cried to her because I was at my wit's end. I had no help. I was in the dark. I didn't know what was going on. And she said, "Can you get up here?" They said, we have space for him there, and we're going to take him to Elizabeth House tomorrow. He was still very receptive at that point. He hadn't sort of started to turn, but I kind of knew that something was at play underneath all of that I could see the man that I knew was starting to sort of fade away. And they were there. I mean, they held my hand, they held his hand, they got us through, because it was literally 7 days later that he passed away. When we got to Elizabeth House, he was able to have some conversations with the doctors and tell them what he needed and what he wanted. And those first couple of days, I think he felt sort of revived, because he was out, he had me, and then he had people around him, and they were very helpful. If it hadn't been for Elizabeth House, I wouldn't have been with him. I feel like once he got in there and he sort of felt like he was in good hands, I feel like he let go and he sort of relaxed. And I also know that I was fortunate, even in all the tragedy, the fact that we could be together, it wasn't lost on me, because I knew so many people at that moment were not able to be with their loved ones because of COVID. And the hospitals everything was in lockdown. People were freaking out. And I was able to sit there and hold his hand. Elizabeth House made the most unbearable time in both our lives, but really for me, because I was coherent for all of it. The most unbearable moment in time, bearable. I mean, they changed everything. The moment they said he's going to Elizabeth House, everything changed. And I was able to breathe because I knew he was in good hands. I was told that, we do have counseling that is available to you for a year. I think the counseling aspect is something that people probably don't talk as much about, but I almost think that it is just as important for us as the services are for the patient, because, you're left standing there, not knowing what to do. And grief it's a beast, and it's in charge. You're not in charge. You're at the whim of whatever the grief decides to do. And, especially at the beginning. And I kind of feel like having Dan say to me, well, this is part of the process. These waves will come. You will feel suffocated, but then they will go. They will pass. And when he told me that, because that was actually happening. Once he sort of said that out loud, it helped exponentially. I mean, it changed how I was processing it. And, that's when I want to say I have my journals, which was recommended to me to write if I was the kind of person that liked to write, which I am, and I like to talk, and I'm very outgoing. And so it was hard to be by myself right when things started to open back up. I was, doing my weekly sessions, and we did the weekly sessions a little past a year because we were doing his celebration of life in July of 2021, because at his funeral, there was only 5 people. And so it was sweet because we weren't talking every week at that point, but I was in contact with my counselor all the way up through the celebration of life. And he said, no, we're going to do this because I want to get you to that point. And that was another thing above and beyond that you don't expect that kind of love, and like I said, he made the most unbearable situation bearable. The Brevard store probably opened in the fall of 2021. And so I went in and I said, what do I need to do do you need volunteers? And what do I need to do to be a volunteer? They were, the store was just getting open. They're like, we definitely need volunteers. I'm the biggest spokesman, when people come in and say, well, this isn't a thrift store, it's like, well, this is a store that is raising money to help people in the life, and not even just in the life, people that just need care.